Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Commander-in-Chief of the North Dakota National Guard, Governor Doug Burgum, the Adjutant General, Major General L. Dorman, and the staff of the North Dakota Veterans Cemetery, welcome to these hallowed grounds for the 2023 Remembrance Ceremony. I am Command Sergeant Major Scott Obergewich of the North Dakota National Guard, and it is my honor to serve as your MC. Thank you for attending today's ceremony and for joining us online. The pre-ceremony music was performed by the North Dakota Army National Guard's 188th Army Band Brass Ensemble. Today, in observance of Memorial Day, we recognize all of the American patriots who gave their lives in defense of our nation, as well as those who served our nation in uniform but have since passed away. We have assembled here today to honor the memories of all these deceased brave men and women and to reflect on their service and sacrifices in defense of liberty's blessings. Please note that portable restrooms are located behind the chapel. Handicapped restrooms are available inside the building. And if you need medical attention during the ceremony, please go to the Metro Area Ambulance located behind the chapel building. Thank you, Metro Area Ambulance. If you look behind me to the southeast, you will see two UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters approaching. They will pass over the cemetery at approximately 1,000 feet above ground level. Our National Guard Army aviation units have logged more than 157,000 free, a great record of safety back to 1950. The Black Hawk aircraft is ideally suited for the logistics and mission of Homeland Security, transport, emergency response, medical evacuations, as well as search and rescue. These aircraft are assigned to our Bismarck-based Army National Guard aviation units. Since the tragic attacks of September 11, 2001, our Army Guard aviators and assets have been deployed to Afghanistan, Iraq, Kosovo, Bosnia, Djibouti, Africa, Canada, and within our borders in support of our nation's homeland security and in support of the war on terrorism. In 2020, 70 of our aviation soldiers and the Black Hawks were serving in the National Capital Region. In the last 2 years, North Dakota National Guard helicopters helped fight wildland fires near the towns of Medora and Mandan. They also assisted in a train derailment near Des Lacs by distributing water from a 600-gallon bucket. So last year, these aviators assisted in stabilizing an earthen dam in Pembina County by placing over 200 one-ton sandbags. Today's flight crews are led by Chief Warrant Officer 4, Dave Kilber. Pilots are Chief Warrant Officer 3, Jared LeBerre, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Tony Keegan, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Tammy Abrahamson, and the crew chiefs are Sergeant Joey Vandervliet and Specialist Parker Lind. Handling support operations is Chief Warrant Officer 5, Tim, State Army Aviation Maintenance Officer. Gentlemen, if you are able, please stand and face the flag plaza for the posting of the colors. And please remain standing for the national anthem. Color Guard, post your colors. We are extremely proud of our veterans organizations and their auxiliaries for their contributions to this ceremony, our communities, and veterans in general. These men and women continue to serve a grateful nation through their support of our troops, fellow veterans, our military families, and the fallen, to include rendering military honors during funerals. We are also very proud of the spirit of uniformed service in our Native American communities, whose per capita service in the military continues to be among the highest among any ethnic group in the nation. Performing the national anthem is Sergeant Gus Tanberg of the 188th Army Band. During the national anthem, it is appropriate for military personnel and veterans to render a hand salute. Civilians are encouraged to place their right hand over their heart and remove hats. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. Thank you, Sergeant Tanberg. Our opening prayer will be rendered by Pastor Brandon Better from Legacy United.
I'd like to bow and pray with asking God today as citizens and merciful hand upon us, and to again acknowledge that we come to honor and extend our gratitude to those who have served this nation in times of warfare, but especially today. We come to remember and to honor those who gave the full measure of devotion to their country and lie in peaceful rest in this sacred. When their nation called for those willing to stand for the ideals of freedom and justice, when the nation called to stand against tyranny and oppression, when their nation called them to fight for peace in the face of war, they rose and went. They left their families they loved. They left go to places they love, the skies, on the beaches, on the mountains. They fought and they died, visioned by our founding fathers, so that we of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Remember their sacrifice. Help us to never forget the cost of freedom. Help us never take those freedoms for granted. Help us to live by the same principles and ideals that called them from the comforts of home to the challenges of combat. We pray your blessing upon the veterans today who remain with us. They know your peace as they live with what they saw and experienced. We pray upon those serving on the front lines today, that they may dutifully execute their mission and return love in safety. We pray your healing hand for wounded warriors, past and present, who bear the scars visible and invisible of their service. High calling of defense. nation will not take a train for war anymore. Now, O God, pause to remember those who have paid the ultimate price for our country. Almighty and everlasting God, may you comfort all who grieve and be close to all those who are brokenhearted. May we all work towards the day nations will not take up sword against nations, nor will they train for war anymore. It is in Christ's name, amen.
Mic check, mic check. Thank you, Vetter. At this time, I will introduce the official party for today's remembrance ceremony. Governor Doug Burgum, the Commander-in-Chief of the North Dakota National Guard. Senator John Hoeven. Senator Kevin Kramer. Major General L. Dorman, North Dakota Adjutant General, and his wife Becky. Also in attendance today are members of our North Dakota Legislative Assembly and other elected officials. General officers, Major General McDonald, Major General Schulte, Major General Haugen, Brigadier General Schulte, Brigadier General Gagnes, and Brigadier General Huber. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Vietnam Vets, Legacy Vets Motorcycle Club, who organized today's run of motorcycles. There were 750 motorcycles on the run. Ladies and gentlemen, about 30 minutes after this ceremony concludes, we will conduct a brief groundbreaking ceremony for our new columbarium on the east side of the cemetery. Feel free to join us if you wish. Details on the columbarium scheduled for completion this fall are listed in the program's insert. I am very honored to be part of this ceremony today. I remember growing up in Belfield, North Dakota, and attending both the local Veterans Day and Memorial Day programs with my grandpa, a World War II veteran, and my dad, a Vietnam-era veteran, buried here. It was instilled in me, along with my brothers, at an early age, the importance of honoring those who served in our nation's military. I thank all of you for being here today, but especially those children with. Now more than ever, we teach the importance of honoring our nation's veterans to our young generation. In 1967, when Ronald Reagan was inaugurated as governor of California, he said, "Freedom is a fragile thing, and it is never more than one generation away from extinction." So, to all of our young people in attendance, much for being here today. Our program will begin with remarks from the Commander-in-Chief of the North Dakota National Guard, the Honorable Doug Burgum.
Good afternoon. There we go. On July 4th, 2026, just 3 short years from now, our country is going to celebrate our 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And from that revolutionary act, and from that time forward, Americans have been fighting for freedom, both here at home and abroad. And we gather here on Memorial Day to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country and for the freedoms and liberty for which it stands. And here in North Dakota, we gather today in gratitude. And that gratitude extends to each and every one of you that's here, our veterans, our active duty members, National Guard and Reserve, elected leaders, tribal members, and citizens from across the state, many who have family members that may be interned here. Thank you for coming here to honor those who have served our country and who've given their lives for our freedom. And thank you, Command Sergeant Major Obergich, for your service and for emceeing today, Pastor Vetter for the thoughtful opening prayer, and to Sergeant Tanberg for that moving rendition of the national anthem. It's been 31 years since the North Dakota Veterans Cemetery opened in July 1992. It's hard to imagine a more beautiful, more respectful, or more well-maintained state-run anywhere in the United States. And high-performing organizations always have one thing in common. It's great leadership. And the team here, led by Cemetery Director Pam Helbling-Schaefer, with oversight by our outstanding Adjutant General, Major General Al Dorman, they do a fantastic job of treating these 70 acres with the utmost care, respect, and reverence as a final resting place for our military heroes and families. So if we could, just a minute right now, I'd like to thank Pam and the entire North Dakota National Guard team, all the volunteers that helped make this day special, all the veteran service organizations, other community members, for all you do to preserve these hallowed grounds. Let's give them all a great round of applause. And when we look across this beautiful grounds and that are cared for and maintained by those patriotic caretakers and all of you gathering here, giving your gift of your time to honor the heroes that are buried here, I look around and I say to myself, this truly represents right now, right here at this moment, the very best of America. And when we have a cemetery, even as beautiful as this, that's been around for 3 decades, some might take it for granted. But honoring is remembering, and you're here to help in that remembering. And it's also essential that we all remember for our nation's survival, because it's the men and women in uniform who defend our very freedoms that make our way of life possible, those freedoms that are the foundation. The United States is the greatest country in the world. And of course, those freedoms include freedom of speech and freedom of religion, the freedom to assemble and the right to bear arms. It's these freedoms that we can take for granted, but we need to remind ourselves that there are billions on earth today that still lack those basic freedoms. And given the dangerous world we live in now, our freedoms would quickly cease to exist without the military strength that ensures our nation's security. As Thomas Jefferson once said, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Yes, our nation's 247-year history is built on the founding principles that have inspired generations to fight for liberty here on our soils and with our around the world. In October of last fall, I had the honor of trade mission of North Dakota business leaders to Japan. It's a country that's the size of North Dakota, but it has 126 million citizens within their borders. The third largest economy in the world and our most important trading partner in that North Pacific region. And yet, in generations that we can remember, many of you, like myself, had a father that fought in World War II in the Pacific. After we defeated the imperialist forces in Japan, its military stepped in and helped turn Japan into a democracy, and they thrived. And it was actually on September 2nd, 1945, when officially surrendered to General Douglas MacArthur on the USS Missouri, that my dad also there in Tokyo Bay as a naval officer on the USS Ren, one of the destroyers that through luck and fate had survived the months of kamikaze attacks. But it was the America when we led the birth of Japan into a successful and thriving democracy. While we were there, Japan, North Korea fired a missile over the top of Japan. It was a test missile. It sailed over the top of Japanese islands, but it reminded us of the dangerous world that we still live in. And of course, every day we see the headlines from Eastern Europe where a ground war was started by Putin's invasion of Ukraine, which has the seeds of starting a World War III. And back home, every day, the state of North Dakota is under cyber attacks which originate with China, North Korea, and Russia. Closer to home, the courage to answer the call of duty in the name of freedom is why our North Dakota National Guard soldiers and helicopter crews have helped and continue to help in securing the southern border of the United States, where illegal immigration is overwhelming U.S. Customs and Border Protection. We pray for their safety and as they support efforts to secure the border and end this humanitarian crisis. As Senator Hogan, who was governor of this great state for 10 years, knows, the greatest honor and the greatest responsibility of being governor is serving as Commander-in-Chief of the North Dakota National Guard. When we say the National Guard, always ready, always there, it's not just a motto. They prove it every day through their service at home and abroad. And whether it's at the border, protecting the nation's capital, fighting floods or extinguishing wildfires, or aiding missions of drug trafficking. We also thank active duty Air Force members at Grand Forks and Minot, which play such critical roles in defense and in nuclear deterrence. As Ronald Reagan would say, ensuring peace through strength. In North Dakota, we have a deep commitment to ensure that North Dakota is one of the most military-friendly states in the nation. And we see that by what we do here today, but also by so many organizations that are active and generous veteran service organizations whose members continue to serve their country and their communities. Those that are helping today be possible include the American AMVETS, Dakota Leathernecks, Disabled Veterans, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Vietnam Veterans of America, Standing Rock Vietnam Veterans Association, all of our auxiliary chapters, and other groups like the Honor Run and Legacy Vets, Metro Area, the Red Cross, own North Dakota. And we'll try free. How about that? Nope.
Okay.
They're working on it. They're working on it. General song of the web. Thank you, General. As I was just saying. We know that many people here and those that are interned here volunteered to fight for our country. And with those decisions, there was a common thread, an understanding that service means sacrifice, even if that sacrifice is laying down their lives in service to the country. To anyone who's lost a relative in the military or had a veteran, dear family member pass away, and especially to our Gold Star mothers and families, we salute you today for and honor your sacrifice, because we know that when one individual serves, the entire family serves. All of you are and will be in our prayers. You will always have our support. Let's give it up for all the families of those veterans that are here. We continue to make sure that we are the most military-friendly state. I know we've got legislators here today, but I want to say that thank you to all of them, because we've passed laws that include covering the burial costs here at the Veterans Cemetery not only for retired military personnel, but for their surviving spouses. This is when we say that the whole family serves, we need to show it with our actions, not just with our words. We're also now providing death benefit payments for National Guard service members who would be killed in state active duty. We also, this session, $20 million appropriation from the legislature to initiate the planning and construction of the North Dakota Military Museum as an addition to the North Dakota Heritage Center. This is going to be a fantastic way to help the next generations learn and reflect upon the incredible legacy of the men and women in North Dakota who courageously served their country. And also importantly, a session ago, we exempted all military retirement pay from income tax in North Dakota, and this session, all active military duty pay is exempt from income tax. So that's great news. And of course, joining us here today for the celebration, we have our two senators. I can't tell you how rare this is. I talked to other governors around the country, and whether we have a send-off of North Dakota troops, we have got important votes and things going on in D.C. Somehow Senators Hoeven, Senator Kramer, and Congressman Armstrong make their way to show the support of the military back home, and that's just super rare and super commitment. And with the work that they're doing, they're supporting funding for the creation of a federal veterans cemetery in Fargo. We're all working together to make sure that we honor all of those that have served. And when we're so blessed to have these strong supporters, because we've got Senator Hoeven serving on the very important Senate Defense Committee that involved in defense appropriations. Senator Kramer, Armed Services and Veterans Affairs. Congressman Armstrong is on the Air Force and National Guard and Reserve caucuses. But it is just amazing what all of these folks do. And I just want to right now, let's give it up for our fantastic congressional delegation. There you go, guys. It doesn't, the things I just described require appropriations, require money, require legislation, but you're all here doing something today that doesn't cost anything. You're sharing your gratitude, you're remembering and you're honoring the soldiers and the families who've borne the cost of war. We only need to take the time and effort to put into words the pride and respect we feel for the heroes who have defended our freedoms and cherished our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let's challenge ourselves to pass that sense of gratitude and spirit of public service on to the next generation of Americans. Our future depends on it. General Douglas MacArthur said, "No man is entitled to the blessings of freedom unless he be vigilant in its preservation." Thank you all for your vigilance. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your support of the military and your attendance here today. Thank you for honoring. Thank you for remembering. And may each of you and your families have a safe and healthy Memorial Day. God bless each of you. God bless this country, and God bless the great state of North Dakota.
Thank you, Governor Burgum. Our next speaker is Senator John Hoeven.
Let's see, does it work there or should I hold on to it? Hold on to it. Okay, first I got to put this hat on. I had to put this hat on for just a minute. We have the absolute finest National Guard in North Dakota, and I want to honor them every chance I get. Yeah, it's heartwarming to see such a nice crowd here today. All of you. All of our veterans from all the services, from all the different conflicts, as well as during service during peacetime. Thanks to all of you, and thanks to your families for being here. Could we have a huge round of applause for all those who have served this great nation and sacrificed on our behalf? God bless you. And God bless you not just on Veterans Day or when we remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, those who have passed on Memorial Day, but every day. You're in our hearts, you're in our prayers. All of you who have served and all of you in harm's way today. God bless you. You are in our prayers every day, every day. I want to, right up front, of course, acknowledge our dignitaries. I particularly also want to acknowledge our former adjutant generals that are here, Alec McDonald and Mike Haugen. Would you guys stand up and give a wave? Just, you epitomize the service of so many, please. For all of our general officers, NCOs enlisted, all of you, God bless you. And also for the Vietnam Legacy Veterans, Vietnam Vets, Legacy Vets Motorcycle Club. Come on, this wouldn't be the same without all of you being here. And again, a special thanks for the thanks you didn't get when you came home. So I don't know if, I hope we have some World War II vets here. Any World War II vets? If so, if you're able to stand and wave. But thank you for your service. For our Korean War vets, I know we've got a lot of Korean War vets. Korean War vets, stand up, come on. And then our Vietnam War vets, come on. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you, you did that. After winning every single battle you were in, thank you. Bless you. And all the conflicts. Desert Storm. Desert Storm. Come on, guys. Stand up. Desert Storm. Well, I'm not going to forget you in Iraq, that's for sure. And now the War on Terror. All of you that are involved and have served in the War on Terror and served today. 20 years. 20 years. And you stand on the wall and defend us every day. It's amazing to think about the service and the sacrifice. Thank you for being here today, all of you. This is, I would say to you, the finest state veterans cemetery in the nation. I started as governor in the end of 2010, 23 years ago. And it was a lot different back then. We've doubled the size of it. We've added all these 2 facilities. Today, we'll dedicate a columbarium. And the reason we're adding the columbarium for several $1 million is because more people want to be cremated now, so we need that facility. But I would argue that this is the finest state veteran cemetery in the nation. And we've been at it for more than 20 years, and we continue, and we will continue to improve it, because for those who make the ultimate sacrifice, for those who serve and their families, we need the finest state veteran cemetery. And that will be a labor that we continue forever. And at the same time, as the governor mentioned, now we're working on a national veteran cemetery as well. And we want to make that the finest in the nation as well. And right now it's 5 acres, but we're already expanding it to 35 acres. And with the work of great veterans across this state, we're going to continue to do everything that we can to make that, just as this is the finest state cemetery, we're going to work to make it one of the finest national cemeteries in the country. And it serves not only North Dakota, but much of Minnesota as well, and South Dakota too. Because for all the things that our veterans do for us, we need to make sure that we're there for them. Not just on Veterans Day, and not just on Memorial Day, but every day. Thank you. Thank every one of you, and God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Senator Holden. Our next speaker is Senator Kevin Kramer.
Thank you very much. Did you notice that big applause that Becky Dorman got up front? That was really impressive, Becky. And I don't ever like to correct the governor But we have to add those 40 Guardians from the Space Force up in Cavalier to the list of active duty members, and it's really something. The role that Space Force is playing in the Cavaliers. Great to be with the Commander-in-Chief of the National Guard, and well, you know, whatever else might happen. I figure, Senator Hoeven, if we have the greatest National Guard in the country, we must have the greatest Commander-in-Chief in the country, right? Why not export excellence? Whenever I sit here, as John was saying, the nicest state cemetery, the best state cemetery, certainly the best run. And by the way, in case you all didn't notice, spring started really late this year, so kudos to Pam and the team here for, once again, putting on an absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day, and getting everything ready perfectly. This has been an interesting year. This has been a year of discovery for me. And it's always such an honor to work with Senator Hoeven every single day. It's great to be able to call the governor whenever we need some encouragement or some info or some data or maybe just some good counsel. It's always great to be able to call General Dorman when John or I have a question or issues on the Armed Services Committee or on the Defense Appropriations Committee or on the VA Committee. We have a unity in this state that's uncommon throughout our country. But this is a day when the whole country comes together to memorialize the people who made it all possible in the first place. This year of discovery for me has been weird. I've been doing some looking into my family tree, and come to find out that I am the 6th great-grandson of Jabez Cleveland. And for those of you who may not know that name, I can't blame you. Jabez Cleveland was born in 1737 in Connecticut. He entered the military in the 1760s, and he became a planer. And then what I noticed in looking at the family tree on the death notice of Jabez Cleveland on the death date, it was June 17, 1775. My 6th great-grandfather was one of the first people to die at Bunker Hill on the very first battle for America's freedom. And suddenly, a whole new level of what it means to be a son of liberty sort of took root. The interesting thing, I said he was a planer. He's a tradesman. He had a plane. He made his own. He manufactured his own plane to smooth the wood to build the furniture, to make sure all the pieces could fit together. And the reason we know he made his own plane is because one of the other descendants, boy, I wish it was me, has that plane with brass plating on the outside of the plane. And on it, it says inscribed on the sides are scripture verses. And on the top, we know he manufactured it because he says, manufactured by me, Jabez Cleveland. Isn't that great? December 15th, 1774. A son of liberty. A son of liberty. 7 months later, he died for our liberty. And we're all touched by that because as we look around and we honor all of the veterans who are here, we honor the war dead and those that have gone ahead of us, and all of the active duty members that are with us here, knowing that you're all heirs to those first warriors. Because just as sure as they gave life for our freedom, you help sustain it every day. And what's even more amazing, as the governor brought up, the war in Ukraine, the dangers in Asia, the threats that are all around us, including our southern border. Thank you, North Dakota National Guard, for looking out for us down there. As we think about all of that and the strains on all of it, it's amazing how many fewer of us sign up. And so we're getting further removed from the cost of that liberty. And days like this remind us of it. Well, I want to talk a little bit about what it means to be a son of liberty. I discovered Jabez Cleveland as my 6th great-grandfather when I was looking at the family tree after I learned that I'm the 10th great-grandfather of William Bradford, the longtime governor of Plymouth Colony and one of the authors of the very early documents. He's often referred to as the first founding father, because he and William Brewster wrote what's called the Mayflower Compact. And I bring that up because we get confused sometimes about what being a son of liberty really means. The reason they wrote the Mayflower Compact, because when the 102 passengers on the Mayflower arrived in Massachusetts instead of Virginia, which was their destination, a little mutiny broke out on the ship. And people said, aha, not only have we escaped the tyranny of the king and his religion, we don't have to follow any rules now, because we're in the wrong place. And Brewster and Bradford and the others got together and said, wait. Liberty is not license. Liberty is responsibility to community as well as to oneself. And many of them said, no, we can do whatever we want now. I said, no, we still have loyalties to institutions. And so those gentlemen on the ship, before they were allowed to leave the ship, wrote 200 words in the Mayflower Compact, still referenced today in much of our law, because they knew that there had to be parameters even within freedom, that the institutions of governing were still important. And so I think one of the great things about the unity that is obvious as I look out here today is to remember that our liberty, certainly the highest, most important thing to preserve in America, comes with it the responsibility to one another. The responsibility to one another. I often, as you probably know, those of you who have been here once, twice, several times, know that I like to recite the fourth verse of the national anthem. But anybody that can get up and sing the national anthem without any accompaniment and a faulty microphone and song like that, I can only screw that up. So I want to quote verses 2 and 3 of one of the great hymns of the church that I think speaks to the heart of the pilgrims, speaks to the heart of Key and the fourth verse of the national anthem. God of our fathers, thy love divine hath led us in the past. In this free land with our lot, thee our lot is cast. Be thou our ruler, our guardian, guide, and stay. Thy word, our law, thy paths, our chosen way. From war's alarms, from deadly pestilence, be thy strong arm our ever sure defense. Thy true religion in our hearts increase. Thy bounteous goodness nourish us in peace. Folks, the best way to remember the people who made the ultimate sacrifice for our liberty is to live like free people who care about one another in their quest to spread liberty around the world. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Senator Kramer. Our next speaker is the Adjutant General of the North Dakota National Guard, Major General L. Dorman.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? I'll start and end with some gratitude. First, Governor, thank you for allowing me to continue to participate in this ceremony after I failed to provide you a working microphone. You always wonder when your last ceremony will be. Thought it might be today, but again, Your Grace, very much appreciated. To our two senators, the governor already mentioned this. This only happens in North Dakota. We're on days where we honor our military, we honor our veterans. They're all here, and that doesn't happen everywhere. So, thank you to our congressional delegation. Special thanks to everyone here today and watching online, and frankly, everyone that is taking the time to think about what this day means. Every year when I come out here, it hits me that families early in the morning are gathering on the Memorial Bridge where those flags are flying at half-staff, just waiting for those 700 or so motorcycles to come by. Families get up early and find a spot to park their cars so they can watch on 1806 as folks come in. I also want to thank all the young people here today. I know when old guys talk, you normally listen with rapt attention. Kudos to my two little ones in the front row here. They're doing a pretty good job. But just to reflect on what this day means, and I do want to call out one person. Is Harper Benstock here? Harper, would you stand? Okay, Harper is the daughter of my command sergeant major, and this morning she gave me a nice card. It said, "We never forget that freedom isn't free." And inside she says to me, "Thanks for being my tallest friend." So, you are welcome, Harper. It's my honor to be your tallest friend. Every Memorial Day, I struggle a little bit to prepare remarks. I feel wholly unqualified to adequately honor those who have given their lives in the service for our country and to honor the families that they have left behind. But over the years, I've realized, and I've cut myself some slack, because the truth is, the reality is, that those we honor today, the accounts of their service, the lives they led, will always be more important and significant than the speeches delivered on this stage. It also occurred to me that I don't recognize those we honor today for their sake, but for mine and yours. Today we remember their sacrifice so that we can appreciate the incredible treasure and opportunity we have every day: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We need to reflect today and every day for our sake. We must never forget those that died for this privilege. In so doing, we can make every day Memorial Day. So today I ask all of you that while you listen to my words, you also reflect on the lives of friends and family members who have served or in the service, or those that have served that you've never met. I started today like I start every day, by looking at the pictures of the 14 North Dakota National Guard soldiers that were killed in action in Iraq and Afghanistan. Under the protective glass top of my desk, their pictures and the dates of their death are on a single sheet of paper. At the bottom are the words, "All gave some gave all." I did not know any of them personally while they walked this earth, but I've gotten to know them through the stories of family, friends, and battle buddies. And I'm impressed and humbled. The 14 North Dakota National Guard soldiers who gave their lives for us in Iraq and Afghanistan are Specialist John Fettig, who volunteered for the National Guard and volunteered again to go to Iraq with another unit. It meant delaying the start of a family with his wife, but he went anyway. John was the first soldier we lost in the global war on terror. Staff Sergeant Kenneth Hendrickson had a one-of-a-kind sense of humor, loved traveling with his wife, and spending guy time with his son. Sergeant Keith Smitty also volunteered twice. Once when he joined the North Dakota National Guard, and a second time when he volunteered to deploy with another unit. Keith had a special connection with children and worked with the Big Brother, Big Sister program in Fargo. Specialist James Holmes began his military career in the Marines. He graduated from Arizona State University in 2000 with a degree in history. After 9/11, he joined the North Dakota National Guard and volunteered to deploy with the 141st Engineer Battalion to Iraq. A friend described James as a man that always put others before himself. Specialist Philip Brown is described as incredible, amazing, kind, and gifted young man who firmly believed in his family, his faith, his country, and community. On a 110-degree day in Iraq, he said, "Oh, come on, it's not so bad." And then he found a forklift to bring everyone ice-cold Gatorade. Staff Sergeant Lance Caney was an All-American wrestler at NDSU. He carried on the tradition of service like his father. Lance was someone who led by example, not words. Specialist Cody Wentz enjoyed weightlifting and working on old cars. When he wanted something from his parents, he would declare that it's time to do some bonding. Specialist Michael Hermanson volunteered after 9/11 and joined the 142nd Engineer Battalion, but then volunteered again to deploy with the 164th Engineer Company. Sergeant Travis Van Zeus joined the North Dakota National Guard after the terrorist attacks of 9/11 while still in high school. He felt compelled to serve. He was doing what he was passionate about, serving his country. Corporal Curtis Mayer followed in his father's footsteps when he joined the National Guard. His goals were to be a dedicated father to his daughter, becoming a helicopter pilot, and like his father, a warrant officer. He believed in what he was fighting for, freedom from terrorism. Corporal Nathan Goodiron, a member of the 3 affiliated tribes, died on Thanksgiving Day, 2006. He was laid to rest in a blizzard, yet 2 gymnasiums were needed to accommodate all the family and friends that turned out to honor his life. Nathan said of his decision to join the service, "Our parents defended our country when it was their turn. Now it is our turn." Corporal Christopher Kleinwachter enlisted in the National Guard while still in high school and deployed with the 1st of the 188th Air Defense Artillery to Afghanistan. He died when his vehicle he was riding in rolled over. Sergeant First Class Darren Lindy was described as always smiling and laughing, with a great attitude and always had a story to share. Darren deployed to Iraq in 2007 and thereafter became an instructor at the National Guard Training Center at Camp Grafton. He deployed again in 2012 with the 818th Engineer Company. He was killed in action on December 3rd, 2012, along with Specialist Tyler Orgar, who was described as strong, fair, and always stood up for the underdog. He had a passion for music and mixed martial arts. He never settled for second best, a trait that made him a great person and a great soldier. I share these very short snippets to help all of us put a face and a personality to a small fraction of the 1.1 million we honor today. Individually, all these soldiers are impressive. Collectively, they embody what makes America and North Dakota special. A sense of duty, a willingness to serve, never settling for second best, putting others' welfare before your own, service to one another, doing the hard right thing, a strong belief in faith, family, community, state, and nation. And as is almost always the case with individuals willing to endure hardship and adversity, a good sense of humor. When I look at the faces on my desk each morning and reflect on their willingness to serve, the fact that they each wrote a blank check in the United States to protect and defend our Constitution, up to and including at the cost of their own life. I reflect on the fact that they all volunteered, some multiple times, by taking the oath of office, and in some cases volunteering to fill out a unit that they weren't a part of. Today, we also honor the families of these soldiers, the families of all who have died in the service of our state and nation. I have gotten to know these families of the fallen over the years, and continue to admire their grace, compassion, and resiliency. So today, I ask everyone to reflect on the lives and service of all those who have served. Be grateful that young men and women continue to step up and serve in our military. Honor all who were killed in action, died while in the service of our country, or died after the service, especially those that died too young from the invisible wounds of war. And finally, be grateful for the continued service of our families and friends still here with the living. Their example of grace, resiliency, and compassion is an inspiration to all of us. Now, before I close, I need to give my appreciation to the team that makes this event possible every year. The first person I want to recognize is Bill Prokopic. Bill, would you start making your way up here? Where are you? He's going to hate this. Yep, come on up.
I think we should honor her here today. Ashley Bobbitt. She got killed in Congress, and the murderer is gone free.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Where's our Constitution if we can't protect it?
Thank you, sir. Hey, Bill, if you come up here. So Bill Prokopic has been putting this event on in charge for the last 17 years. He's retiring after our event this year, and I'm not going to go through a whole awards presentation, but Sergeant Major, if you would. Bill, I'd just like to present you with the North Dakota Legion of Merit for your 17 years of service in the North Dakota National Guard. I can tell you nobody cares more about veterans, nobody cares more about this event than Bill Kovic. So Bill, thank you for all your hard work. I'm also grateful and thankful for our cemetery staff here. Pam Helvin Schaefer and her team do an awesome job hosting this every year, but it really is an example of what they do each and every day to honor our military, our veterans, and their families. I need to thank all the Guard personnel that are working today and the civilian employees of the RC Action in general. Appreciate their willingness to volunteer to support this event today. It's not lost on me that often those that we honor are the ones that need to work on days like today. So thank you for volunteering, stepping up. And lastly, our veteran service organizations, thank you for what you do every day, for your continued service, and again for your support of today's event. I will close by once again challenging each of us to take time today to reflect on those who have served and the families that serve with them. As I said at the start of my remarks, the memories of their service and the lives they led will be far more significant and impactful on this day than any of the words I have spoken. Do this for your sake. Appreciate the fact that you enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness because of those that we honor today. Reflect on this today and every day, and join me in making every day Memorial Day. Thank you.
Thank you, General Dorman. At this time, the North Dakota National Guard's 188th Army Band Covered Down Brass Ensemble will perform Hymn to the Fallen. Thank you, 188th Army Band. In a moment, you will hear our fighting party, comprised of members of Dakota Leathernecks Detachment number 1419, who will fire 3 volleys. Immediately afterwards, our buglers, members of the Century High School Patriot Band, Spencer Hoskins and Alex Munson, will perform a duet, Taps and Echo. The 24 notes of America's most famous bugle call. The rifle volley and taps signal the highest honors in memory of our nation's fallen heroes. Of all the military bugle calls, none is so easily recognized or more likely to render emotion than the sounding of taps. The melody is eloquent, stirring, and haunting. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able, please rise and face the flag plaza and remain standing through the end of the ceremony. Military members and veterans, please present arms when taps is performed. Dakota Leathernecks Detachment number 1419, execute rifle volley. Under the leadership of Command Sergeant Major Eric Binstock, the military funeral honors will fire a 21 cannon salute using a World War I era French 75mm cannon. After the cannon falls silent, the flags at the flag plaza, as well as the 50 U.S. flags lining both sides of the cemetery, will be raised to full staff by our military veterans. Sergeant Major, take charge of the cannon crew. Veterans, raise the colors all across the cemetery. Military members and veterans, please rise. Present arms. Order arms. Please consider observing a moment of silence at 3 p.m. today. This national moment of remembrance may be observed informally wherever you are. Chaplain Ryan Sarempa will render the closing prayer.
Please join me in a word of prayer. Almighty God, you are the giver of true peace and freedom. As we have gathered today in large numbers, as we have reflected on our nation's history and those who have gone before, as we have heard from those who serve us in places of distinction, we remember what a great thing that we all are a part of. At the same time, Memorial Day reminds us that we are involved in something very personal. And so we give you praise and thanks for all the blessings that we enjoy, both eternal and those that we have as a nation. Once again, we give thanks for all those who have given their lives for us. We ask that you might especially comfort those who have been most affected by their loss, their husbands, wives, sons and daughters, mothers and fathers. Strengthen those who have been wounded as well, giving full recovery and peace of mind. And Father, please be with those who are deployed right now, especially those who serve us here in North Dakota. We pray that you would grant them both protection and success in their mission. And now we ask that through this remembrance, that we'd all be impressed with the preciousness of our liberties. That it's not license, but it calls us to responsibility. So we ask that you'd give us resolve to make the sacrifices needed to preserve and extend these blessings to each and every one, to the greatest and to the least. That we might be citizens of character and courage, integrity and intention, humility, and above all, love. We ask all this for the dignity and justice for all. I offer this prayer now in the name of the one who gave himself that we might live. In Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please continue to stand as veterans service organizations retire their colors. Color Guard commanders, retire your colors. please consider visiting this historic site. Ladies and gentlemen, about 30 minutes after this ceremony concludes, we will conduct a brief groundbreaking ceremony for our new columbarium on the east side of the cemetery. Please feel free to join us if you wish. In closing, I'd like to thank all of the folks that ensure this annual ceremony is successful, the cemetery staff, the members of the North Dakota National Guard that direct traffic, run the shuttles, and the volunteers that decorated over 11,100 graves this morning with small U.S. flags. And of course, Mr. Bill Prokopik, who did so much today and over the years to plan this event. This concludes today's ceremony. Please drive safely and have a great day.